It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On NFL, your daily NFL podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Why, hello there, everybody, and welcome to a Tuesday episode of the Locked On NFL podcast, where you are treated to the talents of myself, Luke Braun, at Luke Braun NFL on Twitter, and my good buddy, my accomplice, Ross Jackson, at Ross Jackson NOLA on Twitter. We are your Tuesday hosts here on the Locked On NFL podcast, and today we are sorting through some weird stuff that I guess was said. That's the theme of the day.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
A weird report from Aaron Wilson about how the Texans are going to deal with Deshaun Watson. Some weird quotes from Jared Goff about the chances of the Lions this year. But also, look, it is fantasy season. You probably have a draft coming up. If you haven't done one already, you probably have other drafts coming up. So we got Vinnie Iyer in here to help guide us through the wild world of a fantasy football snake draft, where you pick what you got to take, when to take a quarterback, all that good stuff. But before we get into any of that, I got to tell you, we are in the midst of the ultimate season preview here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It started on Monday, August 30th, going through September 8th. We are going through every team and every division with the help of Odyssey's Ross Tucker and Jason Lockenfora. And you can follow that, catch up on the ones you missed at the Ultimate Season Preview 2021 feed. It's a separate podcast feed called Ultimate Season Preview 2021. You can find it on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your favorite podcasts, and tune in all the way through September 8th. So let's talk about this weird Deshaun Watson thing. So this comes from a report by Aaron Wilson on Twitter, who says Texans are prepared to have Deshaun Watson on the 53-man roster and inactive every week, according to multiple league sources. Watson, who has issued a standing trade request with no deal imminent, also has another thing not mentioned in this tweet.
Yes.
He would be paid in full his $10.54 million salary while on the active roster, but he would never suit up for any games, probably wouldn't even be in the stadium. So, Ross, first, help me make sense of this. Why wouldn't they just get rid of him?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is complicated, right? I mean, it's going to cost them $10.54 million to keep him on the roster, but it's going to cost them more than that to trade him away, because there's about $21.6 million or so that sit on the books as a prorated portion that remains from his signing bonus after the initial $7.5 was paid in 2020. So trading Deshaun Watson at this point cost the Texans $5.4 million this year, but then costs the remaining 16 or so million dollars next year that would end up sort of elevating or escalating, if you will, into the 2022 salary cap for them. So, and remember, that salary is capped. It can't go any higher than that $218 million or so, or $208 million. And with that being the case, it's really tough to say, hey, we're okay with, taking on a huge lump sum of dead cap, when instead they could potentially just sit on this whole thing right now and wait it out and cost themselves money this year, but they potentially save themselves money by trading him next year post June 1 and then taking on a $5.4 million salary cap hit next season, or a dead cap hit next season, and then prorate just 3 years or 2 years remaining the following season, 2023.
Here's where I can maybe speculate as to what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier this camp, the Vikings had a player go through something similar. Their first round corner, Jeff Gladney, had a domestic violence incident. He was indicted in the middle of training camp. He was down in Texas, got indicted by a judge. So that's all that legal process is going on. And after the indictment, the Vikings released him. And took on all the money and stuff. Of course, it's a rookie contract, not nearly as difficult as with Deshaun Watson. Right. But they were able to, and then the timing of that is really telling. And the speculation is, at least around Minnesota, is that so if Jeff Gladney were to be picked up by anybody else, and he hasn't been, but if he were, he would be on the commissioner's exempt list. And because of certain parts of the personal conduct policy and the way that contracts are negotiated, language within those contracts relative to the conduct policy, he would very likely, and this will probably be tied up in courts for a while, but he'll have voided guaranteed money. So we won't actually see the guaranteed money he signed for in 2020 when he signed his rookie contract. And he might even be forced to pay back signing bonus. Again, all this will be tied up in the courts. It's neither here nor there, but there's a chance the Vikings could save millions and millions of dollars on the legality of this. And it seems like the indictment was an important step in that. So I wonder if we're not really waiting on the NFL to make some moral decision that they're agonizing. I wonder if we're just waiting on the Texas legal proceeding to play out. And if there could be a way for Goodell to step in here, but might not be able to until there's more than charges in a civil case.
It's just such a headache of a situation for this franchise. Everyone that's involved, particularly those who are bringing up these charges. I mean, all of this is just wild because you're watching a situation here to where you have this player who's high profile that is in the midst of these allegations and could essentially walk away with $10.54 million without touching a field in 2021. And there's just something that doesn't feel very right about that, if I'm just being entirely honest.
Yeah, and I think spare a thought, too, for Texans fans who have to wonder what they're going to do. I mean, are you going to put on a J.J. Watt jersey? Forget a Deshaun Watson jersey, but how do you show up to Houston, like to NRG Stadium and watch a game without this black cloud looming over it? Texans fans should be able to enjoy football more easily than this. And so, I don't know, heart goes out. That sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Real quick, I do want to say, speaking of heart goes out, just want to give a quick shout out to everybody that is from my home area, the Gulf region that's dealing with everything around Hurricane Ida. Just want to make sure that we send you a little shout out, let you know that we are here, that we are thinking of you, and that you're not alone in your situation and that you are seen. We're going to go ahead and make sure that I know over on my Twitter account, I'm sharing a bunch of resources and things like that. So keep an eye out for all that.
Yeah, go check it out.
Yeah. But coming up next, we're going to take a look now at some other weird things going on around the NFL, but this time weird things that someone said. It's going to be Jared Goff. Jared Goff said some weird things, and we're going to talk about why those weird things are not a reality, and if they are, what Luke and I are going to do about it. So we'll get to all of that and much more as we continue.
We're going to make a wager. Stick around. You want to hear this.
Yes, you don't want to miss this. So we'll be back here on today's episode of Locked On NFL. And of course, with the NFL, just preseason is done. The regular season right around the corner. It's time for you to get in on some of the action, and there's a lot of action to get in on over at betonline.ag, whether it's win totals, whether it's game by game odds, whether it's prop bets. They have everything that you're looking for over at betonline.ag, which you can join either over on your laptop or your mobile device, whatever is most convenient for you. And of course, along with those bets, those odds, those props, you can also take a look at all of the cool contests that they have going on as well, including a $500,000 mega contest, the world's largest $200,000 survivor pool contest that you can also get in on, and a great kickoff contest that you can get in on almost risk-free. So you can check that out as well. September 9th, Dallas Cowboys, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Place a wager with that and use the promo code NFL100. And if you lose, you can get that wager back up to $25. So pretty cool and fun way to get involved there. And of course, much, much more to get involved with, including even your favorite Vegas video games, casino video games as well over on the website. So just a ton for you to check out over at betonline.ag. Go and see them. Go and shout them out. They are our exclusive betting partners. Once again, it's BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts.
All right, so let's have a little fun here. So my favorite NFL team, the Detroit Lions, my respected adversary, the Detroit Lions. Look, everybody knows it ain't looking so hot for the Lions, right?
No.
And that's okay. It's a rebuilding year. It happens to everybody, right? So Jared Goff was talking to reporters about the outlook of the Lions this season. And I'll just read the quote. He likes the Lions' chances. He's feeling bullish on his Detroit Lions. And he says, I don't know what the stat is, but every year there's new teams in the playoffs. Every year there are teams that were in the playoffs last year that aren't. Why not us? Why can't we be the one that wasn't in last year that is this year? And elsewhere in the quote, he said, it's a new regime, new staff. They weren't very good last year. It's a whole new thing, and I understand it. But just like every other team in the league, there's expectations. Jared Goff thinks not only can his Lions make the playoffs, He thinks that the Lions can win the NFC North.
Win the NFC North.
Yes.
The Lord's NFC North that he created and bestowed upon the NFL.
Did he? Did he? So, well, he says, why not us? I put together some reasons. I put together a couple of reasons for why.
Okay.
Here's one. I got it. It says Jared Goff.
Well, yeah, that's a good reason.
There's one. One reason that the Detroit Lions might not be able to win because Jared Goff isn't a very good quarterback.
He's not a very good quarterback. And there's not a lot of talent around him that's going to bail him out either. I mean, DeAndre Swift is a good running back that can catch out of the backfield, but what else are you doing there? TJ Hawkinson?
St. Brown? Tyrell Williams is their wide receiver 1. I think he was wide receiver 4 on like an okay Chargers team.
Yeah. Oof, man, that's rough. Like, I understand the idea. Like first of all, shout out Jared Goff for being confident in himself and in the team, but that ain't it, bruh. That ain't it.
To a point, I get it that, like, what are you going to do? Stand up to a reporter and be like, I don't know, maybe we'll win 6 games. But, like, I don't know, maybe deflect that one. Like, every player in the world thinks that they are the greatest at what they do. They have to. That's the mentality you just have to have. If you talk to any player, they're like, they can be a guy that hasn't made a team in 3 years. And they'd be like, I'm the best wide receiver there is. Sure. What do you mean? It's just the mentality.
But Jared, it's not too early. It's not too right. It's not too early, Jared, to say we're just taking this one game at a time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, there's other platitudes. He should know this. He's been a heavily criticized quarterback for years.
Right.
He's been in this. I don't want to dunk on the Lions too hard because, again, like Texans fans, Lions.
Yes, you do.
Okay, yes, I do. But I'll be nice to Lions fans because much like the Texans, they deserve to enjoy football.
Yeah.
And their team has let them down, and I feel bad about that. So I guess Jamie Collins is cool. I hope he isn't too old. Is he old?
He's older. He's older. Like, you know what I mean? He's older, but it's not.
He's 31. All right. Yeah, I hope he doesn't hit the cliff, buddy.
Yeah. So here's the thing I have to say. If Jared Goff is right and the Lions win the NFC North, what does that mean for us, Luke?
It means reality has ceased. It means we've exited time and nothing matters anymore.
I'll tell you what. Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, you go.
Okay. If the Detroit Lions win the NFC North, I don't have much left, but I will shave off I will go completely clean shaven. I haven't been completely clean shaven in a long time. I went from beard down to this sort of like Jack Sparrow-esque look that I have going on. I am more than happy, except for like the little braided pieces, but I would like go completely shaven, like clean shaven for their entire playoff run if I had to. Like, there's no way that it's happening.
Okay. So I'm going to take this moment to plug Locked On NFL YouTube channel where you should definitely come watch that or just come watch this on Locked On NFL YouTube so you can see my prop comedy and also see for reference just how bald Ross is.
I'll join bald. You'll join me.
I'll join you in baldness.
Oh my!
If the Lions put it in ink. If the Lions win the NFC North in 2021, if the Devils Lions win the NFC North in 2021, I will shave my head. I will do it on this show.
Can I shave it?
Yes.
Can I just go over there and I can do it?
Yes, we'll do it.
I love it. Follow along all throughout the season so that we can watch Luke either get happier and happier at the fact that I don't have to shave his head by the end of the season or get more and more concerned over the course of some unexpected win streak by the Detroit Lions. This is exactly where you need to be here on Locked On NFL on your favorite podcast platforms and, of course, on YouTube as well. Coming up next, we're going to take a look at fantasy football Where are you drafting? How should you handle your draft position? Vinnie Iyer is here to help us get through it all and get you ready for your upcoming fantasy drafts. We got that coming up for you with a currently fully haired head from Luke Braun. Much more on the way as we continue on today's episode of Locked On NFL. And of course, we're going to let you know that our good friends over at rockauto.com, they're going to be tuning in to see what happens to Luke as well. Have a vested interest in our success. So when it comes down to it, rockauto.com has a vested interest in your success as well for your vehicle. That's why they're always there to help you 24/7 online. And they've been doing it for 20 years, over 20 years, helping auto parts customers all over the country. So go ahead and check them out. Whatever part, piece, or accessory you're looking for, whatever make, model, or year your vehicle is, go ahead and get the same parts that you'll find at the chain store around the corner for a cheaper price, which is not the same as getting cheap parts. You ain't got to worry about that with our good friends over at rockauto.com. So go ahead and check them out. And don't forget to let them know that Locked On sent you. Right, and Locked On to the How'd You Hear About Us section. Amazing selection, reliable low prices, and all the parts your car will ever need at rockauto.com. And Luke, speaking of having all the things that you need, stop me if this sounds familiar, okay? You have one device that is catching a game live for you, right? You're watching that game live. Then you have another one that you use to stream your favorite TV shows. And then in the midst of all that, you're also watching highlights on your phone. And the best part, your mom's uncles, brothers, sisters, little cousin, student from Michigan, you have their login for all the good stuff, right? All the good stuff. So
and it's like a war room situation.
right.
So many things to like log into, passwords to remember.
Right. Can't have too many people logged in to the same account at the same time because everyone's sharing it. Let's get rid of all of that. I'm going to show you how to be able to do that and help you get your TV together. It's what our good friends over at DirecTV Stream. This is pretty cool. So it brings you live TV and on demand, all the favorites that you have, puts it all together like never before so that you can watch all your favorite sports, all your favorite movies and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling around with logins, no need now to buy a new device or anything like that ever again. And the best part, no annual contract. So you're not locked into anything. So get rid of the clutter and all the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Of course, compatible device is required and content varies by package.
All right, everybody, moving on with this Tuesday episode of the Locked On NFL podcast. That means it's time for the Tuesday Fantasy Forum. And this is like the week. It is time. So we brought in one of our many fantasy experts here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Vinnie Iyer, thanks so much for joining us. And I think we just got to zoom out. We just got to talk general here. And I guess my first question, this is something I struggle with every draft. When do you take a quarterback?
Well, I think it depends. How comfortable are you in taking a chance on the next big guy versus do you just want to set it and forget it? Do you want to go early with Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, or do you go to the next tier where you have Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, or do you go to the next tier with Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Justin Herbert? That's kind of how I've seen drafts play out. There's like three sets of three at certain points in the draft. I think Mahomes I've seen go early as the late second round in some drafts, early third round, and then right around the corner you'll see Allen and Murray go maybe in the fourth round. And then you have this run that comes in the fifth and sixth rounds, and then you get to 7 and 8. Then everyone's realized, okay, these 9 guys are off the board. What do I do now? And where do I go there? I think that's the thing is you got to hit on the right quarterback because there's some traps down there, I would say. Like Jalen Hurts is a bit of a wild card. You might go after him. Matthew Stafford, you like him, but he's not going to give any running there. Is he any better than some of those pocket passers behind him like a Matt Ryan or Kirk Cousins? So I think you're always looking for the next big guy that's way down there if you're going to go for it. And one of the guys I've been waiting for to draft in a lot of leagues is Baker Mayfield. If you look at his finish from last year, it was very positive with a lot of big games that were inside the top 10 in fantasy scoring. And now he's going somewhere 17th through 20th in drafts at quarterback. I mean, Tua Tagovailoa is going ahead of Baker Mayfield, which makes no sense to me. Given the offense and all that. So I think there's just some prejudice against Baker from what we've seen from 2 years ago and the disappointment from last year. But keep in mind, Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry, these guys weren't healthy. Austin Hooper was still getting used to the offense. He's got a lot of weapons. They're going to score a lot of points. I think it's going to be very similar to the Titans offense, where the run sets up a lot of the big plays in the passing game.
Absolutely.
It sounds like a kind of, if you're willing to take more of a risk at quarterback, then you get the reward you get is, a third rounder that you got to spend on a running back or something like that, and a more kind of flexibility in those early rounds. But you have to be willing to chance Jalen Hurts or something.
Yeah, if you really want to roll the dice, you could get really deep and not knowing the starting status of these quarterbacks. But Justin Fields and Trey Lance, I've seen a lot of this where people are trying to buck the system here and say, we're going to draft a guy we're not sure is going to start because he has higher upside, and then we'll just figure it out here early in the season, which is also not a bad strategy. You guys like Ryan Fitzpatrick, who has decent enough weapons, can probably get you through a few weeks if you're going to go that way. Even Daniel Jones, to some degree, has some appeal if you're just going to use him as someone that you stream early and flip it and have one of these other guys as your lead quarterback. So it's all about your risk threshold at quarterback. How long can you wait, keep staring at guys go by before you want to jump in, and how confident you are that player is going to give you the massive return on investment.
Let me ask if you've got this sort of early selection here or very late selection. I'm always curious about what to do at the turn. If you've got 9 and 10, or if you got 10 and 11, let's say in a 10-team league, those types of situations where you're drafting last in one round, first in the next. What is your approach to that position?
Well, sometimes you have to actually be aggressive on the turn. You may not like it. You have to so-called reach on some of these guys, but these guys are not going to be available. If you like a certain player a lot at that turn and you got to wait all these picks or that player's coming back, and I'm not saying go nuts, but if he's somewhere in that middle of the round value, just go for him. If he's a guy you like, just go for him and get the upside guys, because you're not always going to have the shot at getting certain guys. You don't want to get locked in to where I'm drafting, the ADP. Okay, I'm stuck. I'm never going to get these guys. Kind of flip the script a little bit. Be aggressive. Also, keep in mind what other positions are filled there, which I do a lot of. If I know a couple of people have tight ends around me, I kind of wait it, see how it goes, maybe take the tight end on the way back and take a player more aggressively on the way in. Same thing with quarterback. So track your positions, know who's got what, and don't get caught where you're looking at guys taking all your other guys down the line here on the other side with the other terms. So you don't want that to happen. You really want to set the thing in motion and you dictate the action. Don't let somebody else do it in the middle part of the draft.
And what about the inverse of that? Let's say that you're square in the middle of a round and you've got maybe, let's say 5 or 6 in a double-digit league, and then you have all of this space in between those selections, but you're landing right in the middle. Is there a certain strategy that goes with that positioning as well?
I mean, that's probably the toughest spot because you're at the mercy of people all around you. That's when you feel like, oh, he took my guy or she got my guy one pick before me, and you're like, oh, no. You're going to go through that feeling quite a bit. So it's a good strategy at some point. Follow that draft plan. I always say 5-round draft plan, follow the rankings for that, but then kind of improvise, see what's going to happen. I say always track the positions that are going around you. That gives you so much information there that you treat it as a logic problem. And you're like, okay, team A has a QB. I don't have to worry about them stealing my QB. And team C has a tight end.
Right.
I don't need to do that. So you really have to think about what positions are going around you. That's why those tools are available. I think it's underrated if you're not following that part of the draft and you're just looking at the rankings. I think you need to look at the roster construction of some of these teams. You can almost get an idea of where they have to go at a particular round. If a team around you is loaded up on wide receivers, you know they're going to be desperate for running backs. And you got to realize, okay, then the wide receivers are going to be a better value for me at some point when I'm drafting around these same people.
Love it. I feel very ready for my fantasy drafts coming up here over the course of the next week. And of course, I'll be tuning in every day over at Locked On Fantasy Football to get more from you, Vinny. We appreciate you coming through for another fantasy forum here on Locked On NFL. Make sure you check out Vinny on Twitter at Vinnie Iyer, and of course at Locked On Fantasy Football every Monday through Friday. We appreciate you being here, bud.
All right. Thanks, Luke. Ross. See you next time.
See you next time. All right, NFL fans, thank you very much for joining us for another episode of Locked On NFL and making us a part of your listens today. Make sure you come back tomorrow. We've got Tony and James who are going to be coming through on Wednesday to keep you up to date with all of the roster cuts. 4 p.m. today is the deadline, so they're going to be talking about some of the most notable cuts, players becoming available, notable decisions across the NFL as the NFL shifts from 80 to 53-man rosters. And then you have the rest of the lineup here at the Locked On NFL podcast. Don't forget to also check out the Ultimate Season Preview 2021, our NFL season preview, which includes our good friends from over at Odyssey, Ross Tucker and Jason La Canfora, as we break down each and every team and each and every division across the NFL to help you get ready for next Thursday night's opening matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We appreciate you very much for being here. Once again, for Luke Braun at Luke Braun NFL, I'm Ross Jackson at Ross Jackson NOLA, and this has been Locked On NFL, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.